Alright, I'm gonna be honest. As much as I love the first Iron Man, this, to me, is where the MCU started to get really good. Captain America, the first Avenger, was released in 2011, directed by Joe Johnston, starring Chris Evans, Haley Atwell, Hugo Weaving, and Sebastian Stan. And yeah, I really, I love this movie. A lot of people have this as their least favorite of the Captain America trilogy, the Chris Evans trilogy. I don't agree there. I absolutely love this movie. So let's go ahead and start this review off with the good. And honestly, there's just a lot to love in this movie. First of all, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America. Everybody knows this guy by now. This is absolutely one of the best castings ever made in the history of comic book movies. And this movie's what started it all. I thought that Chris Evans embodies Steve Rogers perfectly as a good man. Not the perfect soldier, but a good man. That is one of my favorite quotes from this movie. And I just absolutely love what Chris Evans brings to this role. He's just absolutely wonderful here. Probably not my favorite portrayal of Captain America from him. That's probably going to be in the next review. But I absolutely love what Chris Evans does here. Next up, Haley Atwell. She's really good as well as Peggy Carter. I really love her characterization. I love her character arc. I love her chemistry with Chris Evans. Probably my favorite MCU couple, I think. There might be another one. I have to look into it. Either way, love her as Peggy Carter. Absolutely fantastic character. Sebastian Stan as Bucky. Smaller role here compared to his later films, but he's really good. He's basically just a typical sidekick. Once he's actually in the movie, for the time he's in it, he's basically just a sidekick, but I still think that he does a really good job with what he's given. I thought that he has great friendship chemistry with Chris Evans, and obviously the writers of the MCU thought so too, because of later films, but yeah, love Bucky here. Now, I know this one is not even one of the main characters, but Neil McDonough as Dum Dum Dugan. Absolutely charming, absolutely hilarious, absolutely steals the show when he's on screen. I love Neil McDonough. He's one of my most underrated actors of all time, and I thought that he was great as Dugan here. I kind of wish he was in more MCU stuff because of how good he was, but regardless, I thought he was good. He was funny, he was entertaining, and he's got a cool handlebar mustache, so gotta give him that as well. Now, the villains of this movie, and honestly, this character might be top 5 MCU villains for me. I'd have to look at it, but I believe he's top 5 MCU villains for me, and that is Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. Now, it is such a shame that Hugo Weaving never came back as Red Skull, because he's just absolutely diabolical in this role. He is going absolutely insane. He's campy. He's a fun villain. He's your typical evil, mustache twirling villain. And I miss that in comic book movies. You don't get a villain who's just an evil, mustache twirling, I want world domination type anymore. Except for Jim Carrey in the Sonic movies. You don't get that anymore. So I really love this portrayal of Red Skull because of how just absolutely campy Hugo Weaving plays this character. Absolutely fantastic character, fantastic performance. Love him here. Then you got Toby Jones as Arnim Zola, and he's kind of just the wimpy sidekick to the main villain. But Toby Jones really sells this role. He's absolutely fantastic here. Like I said, he's kind of just the wimpy sidekick, but he plays it so well, where he's also got a diabolical side to him as well. And we even see that in the next Captain America movie, which I will talk about tomorrow. But yeah, I really, really love Toby Jones here as well as Hugo Weaving. I thought they were absolutely fantastic villains for this first Captain America. Now, the story here is really good as well. It's your basic origin story. Yes, I will admit that. But I really love the origin story of Captain America. You get a really great setting with World War II, one of my favorite eras to study in history. I love every World War II sequence, every battle sequence. The action is stunning. The train sequence, it's absolutely my favorite sequence in this movie. Yeah, really great sequences here. Oh, also, I forgot to mention Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark. He's also really charming and funny as well. I really liked him. Kind of wish he was in more stuff, but, you know, moving past the World War II setting in the MCU, we were kind of destined to never see him again, but regardless, still really liked him here. And then, outside of the action sequences and the story, you get some really great emotion here as well. Like you get the scene where Bucky, well, we know he doesn't die by this point, but when we think he dies, when he falls off that train, it's an absolutely heartbreaking sequence, and Chris Evans really sells that sequence. I just really, really love how they handled that. And then Captain America's final sacrifice, where he has to take down Red Skull's jet. Absolutely emotional sequence. I love everything about that sequence, and it really sells the fact that Steve is a good man instead of a perfect soldier. That is why he was chosen to be Captain America. It was an absolutely fantastic sequence. And then you get the montage of them trying to find him, and we finally get the ending where he wakes up in the present day, well, the present day at the time, and meets Nick Fury. Finds out he's been asleep for 80 years. Fantastic ending, great cliffhanger, great setup for the Avengers, which would come a year later. Just absolutely fantastic. Everything was well done here. However, that's about all for the good. On to the bad, and there's one thing I just was not a fan of, and that's just the fact that I wanted to see Red Skull sooner and more often. Like Hugo Weaving, he's in this movie a lot, but we don't see him with the skull for very long, and he's not revealed until about halfway through the movie. Now, I get why Hugo Weaving hated the prosthetics for Red Skull, so I get why we just see Hugo Weaving for most of the movie. But, yeah, would have liked a little more of the actual Red Skull persona, but that's about it. On to the final thoughts. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite MCU movies. I rewatch it regularly. Captain America, the First Avenger is a fantastic movie. It's a great origin story and a great setup for the Avengers, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So that was my thoughts for Captain America, the First Avenger. What did you think about this movie? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it if you've seen it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.